One of the things I learned from Sensei Benny, he always tells me, what's the purpose of what you're doing? He even does it in the techniques. What's the purpose of that move? And very politely. And I think, 19 out of 20 times, he's right. He will teach me.
Are you looking for a way to drive growth, sales, communication, and retention in your academy? Kovar Systems 6-month Program Director course is designed to help members of your team thrive in the important role of Program Director. With step-by-step training, we will cover a wide range of topics, including prospect follow-up, overcoming objection, and securing enrollments. Our program will teach your team members to effectively communicate the values and benefits of martial arts, which can be a game changer in securing more enrollments at your academy. Our next 6-month course starts on this date. So don't wait and visit our site, www.kovarsystems.com, to get your team enrolled in the upcoming course. Again, that's www.kovarsystems.com. Enroll now and get ready to see some real results in your business.
Welcome to the Satori Lifestyle Satori Masters Podcast, the ultimate resource for ambitious, hardworking school owners that want to get their business and their life to the next level. My name is Dave Kovar. I'm a lifetime martial artist, business owner, speaker, and author. My goal is to empower listeners with the knowledge and the tools they need to break through barriers and really get their business and their life to the next level. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Welcome to Satori Masters Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kovar. I'm super excited about today's episode. I'm going to be speaking with one of my best friends on the planet, Master Fariborz Azhakh. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. What a pleasure to be here, man.
Oh man, it's like it's one of those things where every time I talk to you, which isn't as often as it should be, I should reach out more often. I'm always like, I got to connect with Fariborz more often. So I always get so much out of it. Yeah, I'm remembering back to my first exposure to you. We've known each other for like 35 years, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So like early 90s, I'm guessing, something like that.
Yeah, one of the greatest things that came out of EFC was meeting you, really.
Yeah, well, and vice versa. And I think we actually knew each other through Junerie before that, I think, right?
Yes.
Through the Junerie seminars. I think that's where I first met you. But I remember I think I'd seen a video of you. What year did you do your videos with
Panther?
Panther, yeah, Panther.
Yeah, Panther Production, 1983.
Yeah. So that was back, and I remember seeing, just this young kid, really talented guy. And I remember seeing Hapkido, and I wasn't expecting any kicking. You know how back in the day we kind of, we had a certain way we looked at things, and all of a sudden this guy just could do everything. And it was anyway, that was you. So thanks for being on the episode. So first off, I would just kind of what I want to do today is just kind of talk about we've both been in this business a long time and kind of ups and downs and stuff, and first and foremost, I would love for people to kind of hear your story about, where you came from. I mean, obviously you've lived in America since the mid 70s, I think. Is that about right?
Right. I came here in 1977. I left Iran just before the revolution, the main revolution that happened. And then my mom wanted me out because they were going to take me. I mean, that's a time when people, trucks were picking up young boys in the streets and taking them to the army, and they wouldn't even let their parents know.
Wow.
And that was, imagine that, right? It was a pretty scary time. And I was like 13 or, just about 14 or something. And my mom made arrangements. And so to get me out of the country, and thank God, and thank really to Shah of Iran, who had this program who the gifted students could get scholarships to leave the country. But the deal was for every year that you were out of the country, you have to come back and work for us for 3 years. There was 1, 2, 3, which is more than fine with me. I just wanted to get out.
Right.
So that's how I came to U.S. on a scholarship. Then when the revolution happened, they canceled all the scholarships and they called us back. They said, okay, everyone has to come back. And I was like, no, I'm not going back. So that's how it ended up me being staying here
and
by myself.
And your brother came over. Your sister was here as well.
No. My brother was here first, but he was not with me when I arrived. He was in Chicago, so I came to California because I had an application from this high school in Santa Maria, which was actually the best thing for me because it forced me to live in an American family. So I had no friends who speak Farsi. So it really made me learn the language a lot
And
better.
by the way, your English was perfect when you came over, right?
Oh, I had nothing. I would say one word. And but you know what was strange is that people could not understand that I'm dark hair, don't speak English, and I'm not Spanish. So automatically the teacher said, "Oh, you don't speak English? No problem. Bring the or Spanish translator." And I'm like, "I'm not Spanish." And this is before the just a little bit after the revolution and the hostages and all that stuff. And people had no idea where Iran was, So I was kind of put to the side, and it was a really hard time during that time. But it also made me a lot stronger. I always loved martial arts when I was back home. I studied some Japanese systems in Iran. Then when I came here, I didn't do it in Santa Maria, but when I moved to LA, I searched it out and I started training.
Is that when you started?
Was a lifesaver.
What was it? You started with Steve Sexton? Was he your first instructor?
Yeah, actually, you know what's weird? I was in Torrance first. I studied with Cam Yuen, which he's still around. He does Thai Mantis, Kung Fu. I remember going there for 6 months, but I just didn't feel like soft styles were my thing. Then we moved to the Valley. We came to Woodland Hills. And then I seeked out Steve Sexton, which was such a great thing for me. He was the right person, right time in my life. And I started training with him.
Yeah, and you, like me, you opened real young. So you had a school, like you opened, was it 1980 or 81 or something like that?
82, actually 82 is I got my black belt, but I had this school when I was a red belt.
Wow.
Because he was going to close the school. And so I ended up kind of taking over. And then when I was a black belt, I remember starting the school with no students because all my peers quit. So,
who's this young kid? Who's this young kid that I outrank? Exactly. I'm not going to train with him.
Right. And but it's funny because I hear from them now. Same people. And it's neat. That's one of the benefits of social media and Facebook and stuff. We can find each other. People find me, and they're like, "I remember you."
And they're proud of you now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I kind of run into this.
It doesn't matter what they say. The tone of the voice is that they're proud.
Yeah. I get that a lot. You're kind of in the old school community because I was the young kid at the school, and there was a bunch of people above me, and social media once again they'll often like and I think for a long anyway they're at the end of the day they're kind of proud that I stuck it out and whatnot. And what's interesting is that. Being an American Kempo stylist originally, when I started cutting back on curriculum, I remember all the local guys that were, especially the Kempo guys, thought, who's this 21-year-old kid changing curriculum? I know you did the same thing. And like the gods, Kempo gods are rolling over in their graves, so to speak. And all of a sudden, within a few years, I was like, how you doing that again, Dave? Oh, how you do that? That works pretty good, So it was, and I know you ran into the same thing.
Oh, many, many, many times, but I remember an incident just, Master Jun Chung, who's been around forever, he's in LA, and he just had his 50th anniversary, which is great, which I was fortunate enough to go visit him. But he was one of the only Koreans who, when I opened up, and maybe 6 months after I opened up, I remember I had testing, he showed up one day, and he was in LA, but his student Simon Rhee was down the street from me, which was very intimidating. Actually having the Koreans around me was very intimidating. And it's great because now Simon is like one of my best friends, but we weren't back then. But anyway, Jun Chung brought me flowers and said, you took over for Steve, just want to congratulate you. And for me, it was such a huge, huge private victory. And I'll never forget that. And when it was Jun Chung's day at the Martial Art Museum, I went to him and I told him that, he's little gesture that sometimes we think it's nothing, whatever, that gesture made a huge, and I was at a point in my life, I had just done the videos and all these Koreans were like, who's this guy, especially Persian guy who's going to come and, teach Hapkido, because I was the first one who did it. They were, trash talking me and stuff, but he was like, don't listen to him. Don't do it. You just do your thing, stick to what you're doing. And I never forget that, or people like Bong Suhan, which Panther went to him and said, would you like, you should, but they came to me and I said, you should not do it with me. Go to Master Han because he's the man. But when they went to him, what a gentleman he is, and he said, Hapkido needs young blood.
Wow.
You already talked to him. You do it. And I never forget that those small gestures from true masters. And I was fortunate enough to be at Bang Han's when he passed away. And we have lost a few gentlemen.
Yep.
Great masters in our time, and he was definitely one of them. But it was just a small gesture, someone does, or anyway. So
you're the king of small gestures, and maybe now that I hear that, maybe that's part of where you get that, because through the years, like I can list so many things that you've done personally, gestures. One of them was when you did your 50 rounds, right? So just for those of you guys that are listening, both Master Fariborz and I both, when we turned 50, we did 50 rounds. And I remember speaking with you ahead of time, and I'm saying, only do 1 minute rounds. And you're thinking, no, man, I'm going to do 2 or 3 minute rounds. And I remember that day, you're about 20 rounds in, you said something like, I'm so glad you told me only do minute rounds.
Absolutely.
But I remember getting a framed, giant picture of the two of us sparring with an autograph from there, and I got to think you didn't just do that for me. Probably was other people who were involved, and like, what a cool gesture. There's so many times through the years. And that kind of gets me. I want to kind of switch gears. You have an amazing culture in your school, and it's one of those ones you have incredible longevity and people in the Valley, you're such a great connector. And I mean both with your students, but just in the martial arts community in general. And I want to start kind of like, you've got, the list goes on and people to visit your school. Chuck Liddell's kids trained with you, and Dan Inosanto's grandkids trained with you, and the list goes on and on. When people come in, when Richard Norton comes to town, he trains at your school, and Sensei Benny, of course, teaches at your school. And so what is it? Graciela, Casillas, one of the most amazing martial artists on the planet, she goes to your school and gets input from you. So what have you done to create a culture, such an open and welcoming culture to, first off, other just martial artists? How do you go about that? How did you make that happen?
I think, years ago, I decided I need to be real. I can't, BS people. I don't want to make shit up. If I want something done, go find the right source, pay for it, whatever that means. And sometimes the pay for it was money, but most of the time was other stuff, But whatever it is, pay and learn it from the source. And while these people I create, the best example is, we talked about that before, about providing psychological air for people, so they feel comfortable. And that's the same thing of building a culture with students, And Covey talks about this, and I love this. I always try to remember that with my kids, is that, like, we're very interested in what we're talking about right now. But if somebody sucks the air out of this room, your room and my room, we're not interested in talking to each other at all. But now that it's there, we don't even think about it, right? So I think my job as a father first, I sucked at it as a husband, but as a father first, to provide psychological air so people can breathe and be themselves and be comfortable. And I think that's one of the reasons we've been friends for a long time, me, you, and Tom, is that we provide that for each other. And we drop the, I'm the man kind of thing. And we just kind of confess our sins right away. And the other person takes it, and I know you've listened to me, so much, but there's no judgment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I could tell you the world that, I've done wrong, and then next day you'll be calling me right back, And so anyway, so I think the trick is, not a trick, but to be real with people. But that takes years of listening and reading and searching that, when I went to Turkey, I was really studying Rumi, and I went to his grave. And, one of the things he talks about, he says, Mashu Hamin Jost, which means the lover is right here. What you search for is right here. What you're going out there for people to seek in other people, you already have it. You just have to open up, and people will come. You build it, people will come, and you end up this culture where everybody's very real. There's no acting, and I'm so fortunate, and everyone, including you, I only have a handful of people that I look up to, but the relationship gets better every time. It doesn't get worse, because I didn't meet you at your best, then start coming down. I met you at the low, and every time we're like, oh my God, he's doing this now. Oh my God, he's you know what I mean? Now on top of that, and that's kind of the relationships I want. I don't want to meet people at my top, because then people find out I'm human, right? And they start chipping away, right? So anyway, so that answered that question. I think creating an atmosphere where people have psychological air and make it a second home, and like Sensei Benny, that's his second home.
Yeah, well, you do that so well. And one of the things that you do incredibly well, and that I always just notice, is that you listen. You kind of just said it. You kind of listen to people. You sincerely hear them. And interesting, this morning I'm at the gym. And there's a guy I see there all the time, and we nod, back and forth, and we small talk. And I saw him yesterday. I went in late, and I saw him yesterday. But we're both changing out in the locker room, and we're small talking back and forth. And he goes, I'm Brian, by the way. I never asked him his name, right? And I go, oh yeah, I'm Dave. And then I asked him, I go, yeah, I see, because I saw him in the yoga room yesterday. I was stretching out, and he was doing a yoga routine. I saw you doing looked like you were doing some good yoga yesterday. And then he proceeded to tell me about his workout and what he was doing now. And I realized I wasn't even listening. I was waiting for him to get done talking so that I could tell him what I was doing. And it didn't even occur to me until after and it was clear. It had to be clear to him that I didn't hear a word he said, because I didn't respond like, wow, that's great that you're doing that. Bottom line is, it says the weights are getting really hard on my shoulders. I need to give him a break. I'm going to do yoga for a while, right? I did hear him, but I didn't take that time to acknowledge, because I was too excited to share with him whatever I was doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's a habit that I gotta get better at, and I think it's something you do incredibly well. I want to switch gears completely. But you've been teaching, for 40 plus years now. You've had a school, and you probably, like myself, probably have grandkids of kids that you taught, right?
Yes, sir.
And what is your take? I mean, what are we doing as an industry? How do you see martial arts? What have you seen happen that makes what we do so unique and important?
I think, I have, and you do too. We have personal trainers who come and train with us. They're in the best shape, but after 2 minutes of training with us, they're like out of breath, and they're like gods of cardio, or whatever they do, or weightlifters, or we're so fortunate because we attract all these other professionals. They come to us because we do one thing that can help them in whatever it is they do, and that's being mindful. When you fight, when you grapple, you're there with someone, or you're punching the bag, you cannot afford to think about other stuff. And most sports don't offer them that attribute right there. Mm-hmm. To be in the moment, to think about. And so when they do that, there's a release that, oh my God, all day long, I'm thinking about 200 things. But here, after 5 minutes, it was such a release. My mind just relaxed, right? And I think that's one of the greatest benefits of what we do, and how the martial arts helps them. But we need to do that. We need to be constantly aware of who we're teaching, what level of professional, how old they are, what level of learning they are, and if they're open to coaching. Because the worst thing, as you know, is to teach someone who doesn't want to learn. Right. That's like a pulling teeth.
Right.
But God, when you get someone who gets excited, but you can't overdo it either, because they walk away with 200 techniques, they're not going to remember one thing. So, in my mind, as a computer, I have to just to think about, who is this person? Do I have their permission to coach them? And make sure I don't give any life lessons, because they're not there for that. They're successful in all other areas of their life. So who am I to tell them about, so I don't want to give advice, but I provide a space for them to challenge themselves. Then they open up and they have questions, and when they come here for a moment, I think every man, and I'm a man myself, so I can only have my own point of reference. I would imagine every woman also wants to be a black belt, mm-hmm. and wants to learn how to fight. They all pretend it, but they all want to, right? So this will give them that chance to be out there. And something gets released when they punch the bag or they kick the bag. And they can do it 10 of them in a row. But something happens in number 7 and 8 that's magical. And you can see it in their eyes. And the trick is to stop the training, make sure they make a conscious effort of recording them second. Oh, I saw that. I saw that look. What was that like? Tell me about it. And they're like, oh my God. So what I call joy in training. Because we have happiness, we have pleasure, but joy, man, there's a second they get it. They just feel good about themselves. And we work on that over and over again, right? But if you break that and have them go do something completely different, it's not going to work, right? So my blessing is, thanks to Sensei Vinny again, is to recognize that in people and stop them and let them enjoy it.
Yeah, so, it's so powerful. And I think what makes martial arts, one of the other things that makes martial arts unique as compared to, nothing wrong with fitness kickboxing. You go to a gym and the guy's gone through a weekend, great. It's a good workout, but the element of realism, the liveness of it, even if it's light training, light sparring or grappling, it's kind of like you really have to face this whole nother level of fear. And it's kind of like, I think it's important that people find a way to, embrace their shadow, so to speak, to have a chance to go, holy crap, this guy's trying to hit me or trying to, armbar me or I'm in front of all these people and they're watching me perform. There's so many lessons that can benefit when I learn how to perform under pressure.
I want to give you a little credit for something else, which has to do with the subject. With the COVID and everything, I personally got away with uniforms. I said, you know what? We don't need to wear uniforms. Well, first of all, we couldn't get them anyway. Then people were like, oh, we can get them. People start wearing our T-shirts, different color pants, which was okay. But I never forget a couple of years ago when you came and you did a seminar for us, and you're like, I asked him, I said, give me some feedback. He goes, my first feedback is get uniformity. Get people to start wearing uniforms, kind of look the same. And I was like, yeah, but it's working for me. I didn't listen with my ears and eyes at the same time. But it's funny, every professional person who comes here wants to wear a white belt. They want the uniform. I don't care what level they are. Every kid comes in, you can give them a pair of boxing gloves. But the first question is, when can I get a uniform? And when I tell them we don't wear uniforms here, we wear a T-shirt, they're like, oh, okay. But it's kind of a letdown for them. You know what I mean? And now we're getting back into uniforms and, make it mandatory and getting back into it. And I tell you, there's such an excitement. Like, I've never seen this teenage girl who's so picky about what they wear. They get that black uniform. They're like so proud. Like, it's a prom dress.
It's kind of like it's become, become, behave, believe, belong, and I think there's a lot to be said. And if you look at, you remember, I don't know if you played sports as a kid, for me it was Little League, getting my uniform almost, and to this day, you're on the at our Promac International we had a couple months ago, there was this one team there was 5 people that they showed up in perfectly matching tracksuits, and what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, but even the shoes matched, and it looked so sharp, and you could tell they're all proud of that. And I think that since the dawn of time, being a part of the team, it kind of has to do with fit in, right? So I'm glad to hear you doing it. Can you be successful at it? Of course, but I think there's something valuable when you step out on the floor and you match the other people. And also if you watch any football or basketball or baseball team during practice, guess what? They're not wearing whatever they want. They're wearing the practice uniform of the day.
Yeah. And I think let's talk about little things. These are all the little things that builds a culture, right? And so I never forget when you told me that, because I remember sitting with my son and my daughter, we're having dinner together, and I asked you for that, and you told me that, and it made me think. But now that I'm doing it, I kick myself. I'm like, God, I should have listened.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because we've slipped through the years a little bit. Everybody's still wearing a uniform, but at first I was really anti-go to T-shirts because I was worried about what was going to happen, and it did happen. And that we have 6 different T-shirts going on, and all of a sudden we're not as uniformed. I always have liked personally where you walk on the floor and everybody's got matching uniforms. I just think there's something really pristine and elegant about that, and I think it sends a unique message. And do you have to do it? No, but I think it's an additional match. So So the next thing I would want to ask you about this is that from a standpoint of, you've been doing this a long time, and you spent a lot of time on yourself. You're one of those guys that's always trying to improve. What would you say, what personal habits do you have that really, help you to guard your mindset, that keep you kind of on the path?
Well, making myself important, I think it's the biggest thing. That, as much as I love my kids, if I'm not there, that's not going to help do anything for them. And again, going back to you, you've been always a master of that, and I just read a book, which I just posted. It's called The Advice Trap, which is a really interesting book, because he talks about, I generally like to give advice, but, he talks about why is it important that you always ask before you give advice? Hey, are you open to some coaching? And that's something, again, giving you credit. You've always done that with me. You're like, hey, buddy, let's talk about, can I just tell you something? Are you open, to this? And that sets the mood for me to get, okay, I need to listen to this, rather than just plain advice, And I need to, one of the things I learned from Sensei Benny, he always tells me, what's the purpose of what you're doing? He even does that with techniques. So what's the purpose of that move? And very politely. And I think, 19 out of 20 times, he's right. He will teach me something. But one time out of 20, he'll like what I do. And he goes, I want to do that too. That's a great idea. But so again, going back to, what's the purpose? Why are you giving advice? And I look back at myself and I went, I just wanted him to know that I know. Like, I'm trying to be ignorant. I'm sorry, not ignorant, arrogant. Because that's the difference between confidence and arrogance, right? They're both same school, just one of them needs you to know, right?
I never looked at it that way. It's like someone, I have been told, I don't know how you feel, because I feel like you're a super humble guy. And I've been told, Mr. Kovar, you're really a humble guy. The reality is I'm not at all. I have a very strong self-image. I'm just really good at not mentioning it,
Yeah. But this book really kind of opened it up to me. Like, make sure who it is you're giving advice to. Are you giving it to yourself? Are you want to bounce back? You're looking for validation. Whatever it is, think twice before you give advice, especially when they're not asking for it. But if they ask for it, that's one thing, But don't talk. Just keep doing, And
I want to clarify. I want to clarify something you said. You said to make yourself important, and for the people listening, what I believe you meant was take care of yourself so you can be there for your family. Yeah, and it goes.
And you again. I keep going back. You as much as we don't talk as much, but you're always in my mind about being such a great example. But I personally need to train more. Need to go to the gym. I need to see what I eat better. What I put in my body, as far as reading or spending time, or, it's never going to be enough. But thanks to you, I've picked up some great habits. The gardening, I've been doing that for the last 10 years because of you, and that's giving me joy, right? It's my time. I don't have to do anything to it. Sometimes I take pictures and, post it and stuff, but it's such a joy to do that, or eat right, or do something that's just for me. And I think a lot of times being teachers, I should just say me, I want to do the right things in front of people. But if I'm not in front of people, I don't care. I'll do whatever, right? It's just saying there is no.
That's not true, but I get what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? There's no difference. There shouldn't be a difference between public life, private life, and a secret life. I mean, we all have a secret life, and that's fine. But the private and public one should be the same. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we live in this, oh my God, I'm the sensei now. I'm this now. You know what I mean? So
kind of goes back to what you talked about at the very beginning, is just kind of being yourself, being real. Well, I want to take from that, I want to throw out a couple mindsets, because you kind of touched on two of them. And the first and last of our mastery mindsets, the very first one is I take great care of myself because the world needs me at my best. And you teach what you most need to be here. And I can't tell you how many times that reminding myself of that mantra has got me to, to have, not eat that second bowl of pasta that I didn't really need, or do my workout, right? And the other one that you haven't touched on is I take care of the days and the years take care of themselves. And it's a reminder that with good habits, time is your ally. With bad habits, time is your enemy. And what can I do to establish the most amount of good habits? Because it doesn't look like much by the day, but all of a sudden, 6 months go by and man, you've made massive progress. So what is on the agenda going forward? What are you excited about?
Before I go to that one, let me tell you, I went shooting yesterday with my kids. They all wanted to. And when they were little, they went, but now all three of them are, older, and we went. And it's funny because we were all having a great time. We're shooting and stuff. And my son turns around and says, God, this is so fun. We should do this more often. And Katana, my little one, who's actually not little anymore, 14, turns around and goes, Arya, we're doing it right now. Just now. And you know what I mean? And I just got to remember that, because I complain, we should be doing this more. But we're doing it right now. So let's just really, literally enjoy this. I don't care about later if we do it. Anyway. So
no, it's such an important distinction.
Oh, yeah. It's huge. No, what I'm excited is I'm heavily going back into weight training again. So
okay.
I'm going to the gym. I want to build more, because I feel my best when I feel stronger.
Yep.
Just taking a physical, I have some challenges that are preventable. I can do something about it. Thank God, and just make sure I'm around for my kids, more than anything. Do you remember John Will?
Of course.
Of course, yeah, he's the man. Anyway, he's if you guys, John Will is
one of the original Dirty Dozen jiu-jitsu black belts. He's an amazing practitioner out of Australia, but he's also a very deep guy. And if you don't follow him on social media, he's got some great stuff to say. So go ahead.
He's the man. Anyway, so I just saw on Facebook that he's in Turkey. So I texted him and said, hey, you know what? I have a good friend in Turkey. It could be a potential seminar for you later. But if you need to reach out to Adnan, which is my friend. And it's funny, he wrote me back. He says, Fariborz, first of all, I love you. I've always loved you. But I am completely retired. I'm done with seminars. I planned 15 years ago for this day, and it happened last week. I'm officially financially retired. I'm done. I don't want to do seminars. I only want to train with the people I want to, and I only want to teach the people I want to. But it was such a joy in his voice. And I'm like, oh my God, what a great place to be. And I congratulated him. I said, here I am trying to help you, maybe get another seminar or whatever. But that's not where he's at. Yeah. He just wants to be in Turkey to enjoy Turkey. He wants to sightsee, and he doesn't want to think about anything else. And again, what a great teacher.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and amazing guy, no doubt about it.
All these little things, and to think about, God, what day is this? Today's like when you ask us, Benny, what is it? What today is today? Is it Tuesday? It was, no, sir. It's a great day. Like, what do you mean? It's a great day, man. This guy, he's hurt. You can't see. Sometimes you can't hear. He has surgery in his hand. Or everything that can go wrong. His attitude, unshakable. You can't shake this guy. And he steps into the mat. This is my office. Sometimes I see him sit by the ring, and I go, "Since everything okay?" He goes, "No, I'm just relaxing in the office." And I'm thinking, it took me years to understand that, but that's his thing, So we ask people not to play around in the ring, all the kids, and don't go in there play around, because I want to tell them, hey, this is, But so what I videoed Sensei Benny doing that and saying that, and I show it to the kids. I go, see. This is the man who was, that was his thing. That's the arena. We don't go in there and play around, Yeah. Anyway, so
guys, for those of you listening, he's referring to Sensei Benny the Jet Urquidez, who's arguably the best kickboxer that's ever lived. An amazing guy, and I've had the privilege of being with him so many times due to you at your school, and it's like just a real honor to be able to get to know him. And here's a guy that is one of the most talented athletes in the martial arts arena ever, but one of the the best examples you could ever ask for as far as how to live the lifestyle. Totally. Yep. Well, hey, man, I want to let you have your day back. Just before I leave, what advice, let's just say I've opened up a school a couple years ago. I'm struggling to grow it. From your perspective, give me a couple quick pointers, things that I can do to keep my passion strong and make this career work for me.
I think the biggest thing would be don't make shit up. Don't reinvent the wheel. Role model, find a couple of schools. First of all, define what success is to you. Whatever that is, look someone who has it and go see how they've done it, right? Add your personal taste later. If you want the recipe of this great thing, do what they're telling you, then add your taste later and judge it by results, not by your mood. I think that's the biggest thing I would tell someone right away is make sure you have all this stuff set before you actually open up a school or you start your school.
Very good. Thank you. All right, my friend. It's always a pleasure hanging and talking with you. We got to get together soon. And if anybody want to ever get a hold of you for anything, how would they do that?
Facebook, Instagram, Fariborz.com. Social media is easy to find me. I love to connect with people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. It's an honor, as always, to talk with you.
And if I haven't said this before, thanks for years of friendship, man.
Vice versa. Vice versa. Take care, man.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in today to our podcast. I hope you found it valuable and inspirational. To stay connected, please subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you go for your podcasts. If you enjoyed today's show, please give us a 5-star review. And we really sincerely would appreciate some feedback. Your feedback helps us to create high-quality content that will help others in the future. If you'd like to follow me, you can go to Dave Kovar on Facebook or Hanshi Dave Kovar on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on next episode.